Hey guys, it's Sebastian from AskSebby, and today we are going to look at the Citi Rewards Plus card and also the Rewards Plus student card. They're pretty much the same card other than the sign-up bonus and who they're targeted towards. That's why we're looking at it in one video. We're going to look at all the terms that you need to know about, my thoughts of the card, and also why it might be the most dangerous card for some people. Jumping right into the Rewards Plus card, the welcome bonus is 15,000 points after a minimum spend of $1,000 in the first 3 months. These points are going to be Citi points, so depending on whether you have other cards, they can either be worth 1 cent per point or up to 2 cents per point. That part is a bit confusing, so I will dive into it towards the middle of the video. Outside of the welcome bonus, you're going to earn 2x back on gas and grocery, up to $6,000 per year. After that, and for everything else, you're going to earn 1x back. The card has no annual fee, and there is a 10% rebate if you want to redeem your points towards cash. At a minimum, this means the points are going to be worth 1 cent per point, but again, we'll dive into that towards the middle. For the Rewards Plus student card, again, pretty much all of the main details are going to be the same. The big difference is going to be the welcome bonus of 2,500 points. You get this after $500 in minimum spend in the first 3 months, and it is targeted towards students, meaning that you do need to be a student. The most interesting thing about these cards is that they do have a roundup feature, and this is why the card might be dangerous. Regardless of how small the transaction size, you're going to earn a minimum of 10 points for every transaction. So maybe you have a 1 cent transaction, maybe you have a $1 transaction, that's still going to earn 10 points. I think some people might have an idea of why this might be dangerous. Before jumping into my thoughts, I would actually love to get your thoughts down below in the comments, just something that is less biased from my view. And also, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Starting with the student card, I think it makes a lot of sense for most people just because as a student, a lot of the cards that you have are not really going to be as competitive, and this isn't too bad of a card. As a student, your volume size of the transactions is probably going to be relatively small, so the roundup feature does end up being pretty helpful. One of the interesting things is that you can also start that Citi clock just because you might not be eligible for the Premier card or any of the other thank you earning cards that early on. So again, it's just starting that 24-month clock for thank you points. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, for thank you cards, you are only eligible for 1 bonus every 24 months. So if you do get this card, then you're not eligible for another thank you bonus for 2 years. The card has no annual fee, and worst case, if you do move into an Amex setup or Chase setup, you can just put this into your sock drawer and it just helps your credit score long term. It's one of those cards that you don't really need to worry about. One of the good things about Citi too is that you can product change between cards pretty readily, meaning that if you don't value this card, you can actually product change it to something like the Citi Double Cash card or the Citi Dividend card in the long term. So for students, I would rate this pretty well. For the normal version for people who already have credit, this gets pretty interesting depending on how you want to play it. The main reason is because you're balancing the 24-month clock and also how you want to use this card and how aggressive you want to be. I think if you're someone considering the Premier or the Prestige card, I would wait and get those cards first just because the sign-up bonus for those cards are substantially higher. And we don't really know what the Prestige bonus is right now, but I can expect it to be a bit higher than this. The game plan for that category of people is to get the Prestige card, and then afterwards you can get this one. Even if you lose out on a bonus, this card might make a lot of sense. We talked about how the minimum value of the points is going to be 1.1 cents per points, given the 10% rebate bonus, but if you do have a Prestige card, you can actually transfer these points out to the partners, meaning that you can probably get about 2 cents per point in value from these points. Same idea of the Premier card. The thing is that if you are someone who flies last minute, or if you're trying to fly business class or first class, there's a lot of value to be had by transferring these points. In honesty, the 2x and the 1x don't really come into play for my calculus just because it doesn't really matter. The welcome bonus might come into play depending on what you want to do, but the main thing we're going to look at is going to be the roundup feature. If you value your points at 1.1 cents per point, that's kind of the minimum that you're valuing it at, then 10 points is going to be worth about 11 cents. If you value it at something like 2 cents per point or maybe even more, you're looking at 20 cents per transaction that you do. If you're someone with a lot of small transactions, this can obviously add up quite a bit, but I think that's not really where it gets dangerous. It gets dangerous if you're someone who's very tech savvy. So for example, I had to buy 2 washers and it was about 15 cents each. Ended up putting it on a credit card just because I don't like to carry cash and there's no reason for me to use cash if I don't need to. This ended up being a 30-cent transaction on my credit card. At the worst case, if I used this card, that would have been 11 cents back. Best case, you're looking at something like 20 cents back. Doing something like this, though, doesn't really scale just because that's kind of a waste of time. You're not going to stand around in a grocery store and do self-checkout for 30 items because for most people, that's not going to be worth your time. The area where it gets dangerous is if you're someone who's tech savvy and then you just end up making a script or doing something automated to do multiple payments to, let's say, Comcast or to T-Mobile, just because you can do multiple payments and that's still going to count towards your next bill. Imagine 1 cent, 2 cents, and 3 cent transactions. That way they're not duplicates. Imagine sending a 1 cent PayPal transaction to someone where the fee for that transaction is also 1 cent. So 2 cents and 1 cent is actually being sent, and then you're making 11 cents or 20 cents out of it. The reason I say that this is extremely dangerous is just because I feel like, yes, you can do this, and yes, it might work. It's just a function of whether Citi will shut you down for it. On one hand, banks are pretty smart nowadays. They have a lot of information. On the other hand, sometimes they just let gravy trains flow right through and they don't seem to care. If you're someone with a high risk tolerance, if you're someone who likes fiddling around with stuff anyways and likes to make scripts, then I think this is a pretty interesting card and something worth getting. If you're a normal person focused on travel cards, this one doesn't really make that much sense to me. I'd probably get the Prestige card or get the Premier card and get those points. If you're someone focused on cashback, then I actually think this is still not too bad of a card just because of the sign-up bonus. In most cases, you're getting $150 for spending money you're already going to spend. There are better offers out there where you're getting $150 or $200 back for $500 to spend, but for a lot of people focused on cashback, at a certain point you're going to run into a wall where this offer, even though it's $150 for $1,000, isn't too bad at all. One of the other things you can do is to product change one of your other Citi cards to this card if you don't want to apply for it, which also makes a lot of sense. For me personally, I'm probably going to see what my friend does because he's more aggressive than me for a lot of this type of stuff. And then if it goes well for him, I'll probably product change one of my other Citi cards into this card. The big elephant in the room is whether this feature is going to last. I think it will probably last up to 2 years at most, and probably up to 1 year. I'm guessing at that 1 year point, they are going to make a cap for this roundup feature. So maybe you can only use it 10 times every month or 100 times every month, something that keeps it reasonable for normal transactions. If you're someone who wants to learn more about the card and you want to support the channel, a pretty easy way to do that would be to use the links on our sites or the links in the description box down below. Hopefully that was helpful, and my question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on the card? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the community note down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, it really helps us out. If you know anyone else who'd benefit from what we just talked about, feel free to share this video with them, because it's probably going to help them out. But otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.